Today, I want to talk about a massive global phenomenon that's reshaping our world in real time. Imagine for a moment that Christianity is a colossal, ancient river. For centuries, its main currents flowed powerfully through the West, carving the landscapes of Europe and North America. But if you look at that river today, you'll notice something strange. In the West, the water level is dropping. The current is slowing. Some tributaries have run dry completely. But here's the twist. While the river sputters in one part of the world, it's transforming into a roaring, unstoppable flood in another. It's undergoing a seismic migration, a rerouting of epic proportions. Now, a believer might look at this and say, see, God is on the move. The Spirit is alive. But I want to offer a different perspective. What if this incredible story has nothing to do with God at all? What if it's not a story of divine power, but a revealing, fascinating, and frankly, hilarious story of pure, uncut human sociology? Today, we're going to dive into that river. We'll look at the global Christianity trends, explore why it's thriving in the global South and dying in the West, and uncover the real reasons this religion persists. And trust me, it has a lot more to do with childhood indoctrination, community potlucks, and the fear of eternal barbecue than it does with any actual evidence for a divine creator. So stick with me. Welcome to Secular Strike Back. I'm Toothless Grin Kim. Let's start in the lands where the river has been flowing the longest, Europe and North America. Here, the story is one of undeniable decline. The statistics are staggering. Institutions like Pew Research have been tracking this for years, and the religiously unaffiliated statistics paint a crystal clear picture. We are witnessing one of the most significant cultural shifts in modern history. In Europe, the great cathedrals that once towered over society as the ultimate centers of power and knowledge are now, for many, just stunningly beautiful tourist attractions. Church attendance has plummeted. For a huge number of Europeans, the church is no longer a weekly destination, but a stop for the hatch, the match, and the dispatch. You get baptized, you get married, and you get eulogized in a church. It's a cultural tradition, a nod to heritage, like learning a folk dance or eating a specific type of pastry on a certain holiday. The actual belief, the commitment, for most, that's long gone. Sunday morning is now for football, for brunch, for a long walk in the park, for pretty much anything other than sitting on a hard wooden pew listening to a talk about an ancient, cosmically jealous deity. Then there's the United States, which has always been a bit of a weird outlier in the Western world. For a long time, it bucked the secularizing trend. But the dam has finally broken. The decline of church attendance here has been sharp and dramatic. The identifier of Christian is no longer the default social marker it once was. This has given rise to the nones. Not nuns, as in Catholic nuns. I mean the nones, spelled N-O-N-E-S. The religiously unaffiliated. This group is a massive, diverse coalition of people who've walked away from organized religion. But here's where it gets funny. out of the ashes of old school, neighborhood-based churches, a bizarre new beast has risen, the American megachurch. These are enormous, warehouse-sized operations that are less like places of worship and more like spiritual theme parks. They have coffee shops, bookstores, state-of-the-art light shows, rock concert worship bands, and pastors who look like they just stepped off a reality TV show. This isn't your grandmother's church. This is Christianity Incorporated. It's a slick, polished, consumer-driven product designed to appeal to a modern mindset. It's church for people who hate church. They've stripped out the dusty rituals and replaced them with a high-energy, emotionally manipulative experience. So while traditional churches wither, these corporate-style behemoths are booming. It's a perfect example of the cultural shifts in Christianity. Not a return to faith, but a rebranding of it into a more palatable, entertainment-focused package. All right, so the river is slowly drying up in the west. So where is all that water going? South. Fasten your seatbelts because Christianity is exploding in the global south, in Africa, Latin America, and parts of Asia. This is the heart of the modern Christian revival. If you want to see where the energy is, it's not in Geneva, it's in Ghana, not in Canterbury, but in South Korea. This new wave of Christianity is different. It's not the quiet, stoic, stained-glass faith of old Europe. It is loud, it is charismatic, and it is passionately public. We're talking services that last for hours, filled with polyrhythmic music, spontaneous ecstatic prayer, and sermon topics that deal directly with the harsh realities of daily life. Poverty, illness, injustice. The faith here isn't a private Sunday morning affair. It's woven into the very fabric of the community. The church is the social hub, the support network, and the political force all rolled into one. Now, is this proof that God is moving his headquarters south? Or is there, perhaps, a more rational explanation? Of course, there is. In many of these post-colonial societies, Christianity offers something incredibly powerful: identity, community, and hope. It provides a framework for understanding the world and a promise of a better future, both spiritually and sometimes practically. It stands in contrast to other spiritual worldviews and has become deeply intertwined with national and cultural identities. The explosive growth of Christianity in the global south isn't a mystery. It's a sociological gold mine. It thrives because it meets fundamental human needs for meaning, belonging, and support in a way that is profoundly effective in that specific cultural context. It's a testament to the power of community, not the existence of a deity. So we've seen the two extremes: the fading, consumerized faith of the West and the vibrant, community-integrated faith of the South. What's the common thread? How does this system perpetuate itself? The answer is a powerful cocktail, and its main ingredient is childhood indoctrination. So let's be brutally honest. If you were to introduce Buddhism, Islam, or Christianity to a fully grown, rational adult with no prior religious exposure, presenting them with the claims of miracles, resurrections, and virgin births as literal fact, they would look at you like you were trying to sell them a timeshare on Mars. It sounds preposterous. So how does it get passed on? You start with the kids. Study after study, including much of the data on religious transmission, points to a single, overwhelming truth. The single greatest predictor of a person's adult faith is the faith of their parents, specifically their father. When a dad believes, the kids are overwhelmingly likely to believe. It's the ultimate franchise model. You're born into a spiritual family business. You're taught the songs, the rituals, the specific phrases, the rules, and the fears before you're even capable of critical thought. You are told that believing is good and questioning is bad. You are told this specific set of ancient stories is the only path to truth, happiness, and avoiding eternal torture. This is the core of it. Without this constant process of childhood indoctrination, Christianity would largely die out within a couple of generations. It relies on planting a seed in fertile, uncritical ground and cultivating it with a mix of love, community, and a healthy dose of fear. And that's the other key ingredient: emotion. Logic and evidence are the enemies of faith. The church knows this, so they don't lead with facts. They lead with feelings. The high-energy music, the dimmed lights, the charismatic speaker telling you you're special and loved and seen, that's a dopamine hit. It's an emotional experience. The sense of belonging. When everyone sings the same song and says the same prayer, that fulfills a deep tribal need for community. This is the essence of modern spirituality versus religion. People crave that feeling of connection, and religion provides a prepackaged, off-the-shelf version for a weekly subscription. Once that emotional hook is set, the control system kicks in, and it's a brilliantly effective, if deeply disturbing, machine. At its heart is a simple, powerful concept: us versus them. There is the in-group, the saved, the believers, the people who have the truth. And there is the out-group, the unsaved, the heathens, the skeptics, the people destined for hell. This creates an immense amount of psychological pressure. Your entire social structure, your eternal destiny, is tied up with staying in the in-group. And what happens when you start to question? When you start to notice the inconsistencies, the lack of evidence, the moral failings of the institution or the text, that's when the fear tactics come out. I've been there. You express a doubt, and you're immediately met with warnings. Oh, you don't want to fall away. Satan is trying to deceive you. You're playing with fire. You're told that your questioning isn't a genuine search for truth, but a moral failing, a temptation, a sin. It's a way to shut down critical thinking and enforce conformity through fear. And if you leave, the consequences are very real. You are no longer part of the us. You become one of them. In many families and communities, this means being ostracized, shamed, or condemned. You lose your friends, your support system, the approval of your parents. You are told you are broken, lost, and heading for destruction. All because you dared to use your brain, apply critical thinking skills, and follow the evidence where it led. This isn't an act of love. It's an act of control, designed to keep people in the fold through social and emotional blackmail. But something incredible is happening in the quiet spaces left behind by all of this. As the river of Christianity carves new paths, a new, diverse ecosystem is flourishing in the places it has vacated. The story of non-belief is not a story of nothingness. It's not an empty void. It is a vibrant, expansive, and liberating landscape of human thought. This is the world of the nones, and it is not a monolith. This is where we get to really dive into exploring non-religious identities. There's atheism, the firm, confident position that there is no credible evidence for any gods. There's agnosticism, the humble and intellectually honest stance that says, I don't know, and embraces the questions without needing a pretend answer. There are the spiritual but not religious who seek connection and wonder in the nature, in wonder in nature, in art, in meditation, or in human connection, all while rejecting the dogma and control of organized religion. And then there's a framework I'm particularly fond of: secular humanism and society. Humanism finds purpose not in pleasing a god, but in advancing human flourishing. It promotes reason, empathy, and compassion as our guides. It encourages us to build a better world for everyone, right here, right now, for this one life we know we have. It's a worldview based on evidence and a shared humanity, not on an ancient divide between the saved and the damned. This revolution of thought is being led in many ways by younger generations, empowered by the internet and the incredible access to information it provides. They are exploring life beyond the traditional faith of their parents. They are looking at the history, the science, the arguments, and the hypocrisy, and they are saying, no thanks. They are building communities based on shared interests and values, not on shared ancient beliefs. They're finding that you can have purpose, you can have morality, you can have awe and wonder, all without surrendering your intellect to a 2,000-year-old book. This is a shift from a worldview of control to one of freedom, from one of fear to one of reason, and from an us versus them mentality to one of shared humanity. So that's the Great Migration, a story of sociology, not divinity. A system propped up by childhood indoctrination, emotional manipulation, and the promise of community, which is losing its grip in the rational, individualistic West and reinventing itself in the communal, hopeful South. It's a human story, through and through. And the alternative, the world of critical thought and secular ethics, is not a bleak, empty landscape, but a rich, diverse, and liberating frontier. Now, I want to turn the floor over to you, because this podcast is really all about our shared journey. My audience is full of incredible people who have walked this path. Atheists, ex-Christians, skeptics, deconstructors, anti-theists, and the endlessly curious. So here's my question for you today. Thinking back on your own journey, what was the final straw? Was it the intellectual realization that the claims just weren't true? Was it witnessing the hypocrisy of an institution? Was it the emotional toll of the fear and guilt? Or was it that moment you saw it all for what it was? Just a culture, a tradition, a powerful human group, and nothing more? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one of them, And your experiences are what makes this community so powerful. Also, if you enjoy this podcast, live in the United States, and would like to support it, please consider making a $3 monthly donation by going to my Patreon and becoming a member. The link is in the description below. If you enjoyed this deep dive and you're ready for more honest, friendly, and skeptical conversations, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and smack the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, stay curious, stay rational, and be good to each other.